Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba amasannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna sawa 11 paka sawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digitalk Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Digitalk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Digitalk, real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Digitalk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Digitalk. Digitalk, the way to go.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to the Meta Drive. The date today is 23rd of December. The year is 2021. We have about a week to get into the new year, so I hope you have your resolutions set ready. Today, I have a cousin who says 23rd towards Christmas is a bloody day because today is when most of those animals that we will be eating on Saturday are going to be slaughtered. So go out, enjoy. Christmas is coming. The New Year is also coming. So as we celebrate, we live out of this. Make sure you have your priorities straight for the next year so that at least for the reasons that you are not able to achieve some of the resolutions you set this year, you are able to at least averagely achieve them the next year. Now, I'll go into the updates. My name is Regis Yahweh. Again, I welcome you to the Mighty Drive today. You can watch us live on the Alternative Uganda Facebook page. The same videos will be uploaded later onto YouTube, which is just about a few minutes after the show. Around 10 they should be up and running. So those of you who cannot watch live for some reasons, you can still catch us up on our Facebook channel. It's the Alternative Uganda, and you can keep the conversation going. Make sure that you comment because we are here to educate each other. I have a few updates for you today. Doctors yesterday and medical interns finally agreed to stop their strike until May 2022. That is about 5 months from now. So now, as their president, Mr. Oledo Samuel Ludongo, yesterday was talking to the press, he urged all medical interns and doctors to go back to their workstations to give ample time the government to be able to fulfill their promises. Now, I don't know what happened this time because last time when President Museveni promised them, when he met them and made his promises to them, they agreed. But if just after the president had moved away, they said they are not doing anything until their promises are fulfilled. So that is why they kept the strike going. But this time he said and urged and called upon all medical interns to go back to their workstations to provide those health services to all people, and he also called upon Ugandans to not run out from the hospitals. Those nurses, those clinicians, those doctors are going to be there to attend to you. So he urged them to make sure that they are at their workplaces, and they'll definitely be going. And he called them to make sure that today, beginning today onwards, they should be on the workstations. Give them about 5 months, period for the government to work on their promises. MOBS guild elections postponed. Yesterday, the Makerere University Business School, that's the one that is based in Nakawa, had the guild presidential race yesterday. And the funny part was the elections were postponed because some of the camps of those the electorates, those who had gone to vote, ran away with the ballot papers. Now, the issue was, of course, the gentleman, he was called Valentine. He was leading, was an OP candidate. Allegedly, he was leading. And now they allege also that now those who are from the NRM camp, apparently the NRM candidate wasn't in the register. So he probably could not either vote. So those who are from his camp decided to run away with the ballot box. And now tear gas was all over yesterday. You see, what happens in the general elections now even extending to just university elections. Now, the same people, those especially who are NOP, pro-NOP, were saying that the NRM had brought pre-ticked ballots, that most of the students came to the polling stations and they found their names pre-ticked. It means that, and others were alleging that some other people were coming from outside, were not students of MOBS, who were given IDs to come and vote for that NOP candidate. Those were allegations that were made by the MOB students, and of course those who are in the other contending camps, those who are, against the NRM. They say others were alleging, even the DP president, Norbert Mao, mentioned that you see what happens in structures, institutional or the government structures, is now trying to extend, and before you know it, we don't have morals in the whole generation. Now the election rigging is even happening in universities, in broad daylight. The students are being tear gassed. It was a quagmire yesterday at MOBS. But yes, that is what happened. So elections were postponed because they could not go ahead when the ballots were, taken away by the students. There was a simple photo that has been making rounds on social media, especially on Twitter, about a gentleman who was seated comfortably in tear gas, and they were calling him chilling with the big boys, as that was trending yesterday. But that is what happened yesterday. Now Kenya passed the same policy as Uganda did, that people are going to be barred from going into public places. They can't go into schools, they can't go into hospitals, they can't go into churches unless they're vaccinated. So until and unless you present your vaccination card, you cannot be allowed to access some of these areas. So I think that is also a call for the citizens to be able to vaccinate, because at one point you're going to need to go to some of these areas. And eventually they are going to say that you cannot even go to the market, you can't go to a supermarket without a vaccination card. So that means you cannot get essential services. So I think it's a call I'll be making on my own to Ugandans and all people, now that it's extending, to go out and vaccinate. It's not taking away anything. It's not that you're going to pay, it's not expensive. You're not paying any single penny for that vaccination. So just go out, vaccinate, get that card, and avoid all those shortcomings that will coming along without being vaccinated. Andrew Mwonge was sworn in as the new LC5 chairperson of Kayunga district yesterday. Of course, amidst that security that was mad yesterday. And the gentleman who is the Secretary General of the NRM party, Richard Todwong, mentioned that, you see, those who are saying that NRM rigged those elections, the elections are there for political parties to compete. They are not there for NUP to win. So if you go in a competition, you contend for power and you lose, it's not always that, it's not a red carpet that if you contend, you win. It's a competition ground. You expect two things, either you win or you lose. So he said you should not stop lamenting about the fact that the NRM candidate won, accept the results and know that elections are not just there for NUP to win. Now, the funny part was Nakwede and NUP is set to swear in Harriet Nakwede today as the LC5 of Kayunga. That's where the controversy comes in. They say that NUP says that NRM did not win the election, and as a result, NUP will swear in their candidates in a mega ceremony today, graced by Bobi Wine, the party president of the NUP. They said that, in their own words, the NRM stole an elephant and hid it in a Kavera, but they shall not allow it. And the people of Kayunga have decided that they will inaugurate Harriet Nakwede in a function graced by the party president, Bobi Wine. So they are saying that, you see, elections in Kayunga were rigged in broad daylight. And for that reason, they are not accepting the results that were out of rigged elections. For that reason, they are going to be inaugurating their own Harriet Nakwede as the LC5 of Kayunga. So apparently we'll have either two LC5s, or we're probably going to have a court petition of those results. Because I would think ordinarily that the proper structures would be going to court, petition the results, you know, argue your case, and if you win, you go and inaugurate. But they cut it short. They said they cannot accept those rigged elections results, and for that reason, they are swearing in their own Harriet Nakwede today in the presence of the party president, His Excellency Bobi Wine. Now, a Madagascan minister, Serge Gale, the country secretary of state for police, narrowly escaped death in a helicopter crash. There was a crash. She was traveling in Madagascar on its border, northeastern border. There happened a shipwreck, you know, and a number of people lost their lives, including children. Now, this gentleman was flying to that northeastern region on that coast to follow up on what happened and, you know, do thorough investigations on what could have caused the shipwreck that happened at that side. Now, as he was going, his helicopter crashed. So him and his other police person they swam for 22 hours in order to be, you know, rescued by the fishermen. They flew in, you know, they crashed, and then a fisherman rescued them 22 hours later. He said it was just not his day to die, and for that reason he escaped narrowly that death. To Okwisa Moru Kwakwayo, the government tabled the projection of the budget estimates of the financial year 2022-2023, and it's 43 trillion. Now, they had estimated 44.7, but they cut it by about 1.5 trillion, and they have 43 trillion. Of course, they said they are looking at priorities, and for that reason, this time, they are so positive that the government will be able to raise resources to find the financial that is coming. Yes, and yesterday, there were East African Community Bloc was discussing, of course, the head of states were discussing including the DRC in the East African community. Now, the president convened and you know, they have called upon DRC. They are still investigating whether they are capable of joining. And sooner or later, they should be able to announce whether DRC is actually joining the East African community or not. And in the same, Ruto, yesterday, you know the elections are campaigns that are going on in Kenya. He branded Ruto, President William Ruto, he's the deputy president of Kenya. He branded his counterpart, Raila Odinga, a puppet of the state. He says he is someone who will be bent into serving the interests of certain people. He also accused Uhuru Kenyatta of controlling all the arms of government, the judicial, executive, and, you know, the legislature, into doing that which he wishes, as opposed to the, you know, the will of Kenyans. Yes, I think that is basically what I have for you. And today in history, those of you, the readers especially, I have Farida Bikwabere is a fan of reading and books. On December 23rd, 1939, it marks the beginning of war. It was the beginning of war that would engulf the world on this day. Both Great Britain and France declared war on Nazi Germany. Eventually, the United States would join in the struggle, and the Second World War would be in full blaze. The World War began this day, and you know, those of the parties joined. I think a little bit of that is what I have. The readers, Emma's book, Jane Austen's book, it's called Emma. You know that woman for especially the Pride and Prejudice. It's also a movie. She read her book. It was out today. That woman died at 42 in 1817. And those of you who are readers, you know that her literally books are so informed and are good. Even for that long time, they're still catching up. That is what I have for you in the updates. Of course, there are a lot more, but time cannot allow. We are going to go in for a short commercial break. When we come back, we have Norman Tumuhimbise, the executive director of this very platform and the national coordinator of the Alternative Uganda. Together with Lilian Wede, we'll be here looking into the current affairs, what is going on, how better can we put that which is wrong, and as we move towards the new year, what resolutions should the country be looking at, and what should be the priorities coming into the next financial year. My name is Roger Suriabwe. We'll go in for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba amasannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna sawa 11 paka sawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digitalk Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Digitalk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Digitalk, real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Digitalk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Digitalk. Digitalk, the way to go.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
You're welcome back from that short commercial drive. My name is again Roger Suriabwe, and together I've been joined by Norman Tumuhimbise, abambatelo kumwita Kabwe Jungira in Uganda. I am not a Muganda, but I hope I know the exact meaning of that. He's here with us, and Lilian Wede again with us. We're going to also be talking about the fact that we were expecting Professor Kanyihamba, Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyihamba, today on the drive, but he's not here. So Norman Tumuhimbise is going to be telling us why that is and probably what should be expecting after that. But before we get to that, Lilian Wede, will you introduce yourself and then the gentleman?
Good morning, Rogers.
A very good morning. How are you?
Good morning, viewers. Thank you so much for watching. This is The Mighty Drive, and I am Princess Luwede Lilian. Wenjogera oluzungu abamu balowooza nti mbalekeredde naye mbabuuzako ina gye bisinzidde okuba nga ate mutulaba batulabira mu ggwanga Uganda n'ebitundu by'eggwanga ebyenjawulo. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala ne Mighty Drive ebeerawo buli lunaku olw'Emmande okutuuka olunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'okumakya ate mpaka ssaawa 3 twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo eziba zigenze mu maaso mu ggwanga awamu n'abagenyi ate be tubeera nabo mu studios era nga n'olwaleero tulina omukwanaganya w'ekisinde kya The Alternative Uganda omwami Norman Tumuhimbise tumwina mu studios agenda kuba tubuulira olunaku olwaleero tubadde tusuubira okuba ne Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyihamba naye ate tetusobodde kuba nga tuba naye ensonga eva ku ki oba oliawo munnayuganda asobole okumanya embeera ya profesa ate gyalimu mukadde kano agenda kuba tubuulira n'ebirala n'ensonga nnyingi zetugenda okuba nga ate tukubaganyako ebirowoozo so genda butereevu ku Facebook page yaffe The Alternative Uganda oteekeyo comment oba oteekeyo ekibuuzo kyo ate tujja kubanga tukisoma wano nno saagala ate nandagge nnyo njagala ate mwanirize asooka atulamuseeko then tutandikira awo emboozi yaffe mu bujjuvu mukulu Norman tusanyusa okukulabako ssebo
Simye bwongerwa mpozi abambeja biraba sebo bwakedde kati basebo tuli basebo basatu mu studio so tulina sebo ku kono ne basebo abalala babiri Abannayuganda mwembale nnyo okuba nti mwefiiriza kaddata kammwe ne mutulaba era tusimye bwongerwa newankubadde webale amala ebintu
webale balakola ate
amala ebintu
engero zino lwozijjawa
nze ndi muganda w'erwengo muganda ggere
mukulu Norman tubadde tulina okuba ne Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyihamba olwaleero naye atulaba ssaawa zino yeebuuza yiki ekituuseewo batulimbye oba balanze bubi twagala otutangaazeemu
abalabi ba Alternative Digitalk nga bestreamingira ku The Alternative Uganda social media page ba Facebook page tubadde bakubira ne Justice Kanyihamba olwaleero naye nafunamu obukosefu kuba kati emyaka gyalimu nga ffenna bwe tumanyi muntu mukulu so olumu asobola okuzukkira ku kkono nga talina bulungi mbavu ngaabamu batera ogiyita abaana b'emyaka gina embavu naye twakomyewo okwogera awo eggulo n'agamba yandirabika Katonda bw'anaaba atuyambye n'apiikingamuuko ku maanyi yandirabika wano enkya ssaawa 5 ez'okumakya naye n'abako obubaka bwe yantisse bwe muva okuntikkula mbadde nzija ne munsala ensawo era olwedde obubaka obumu ne mubanga mubukute mu ngalo Rogers ne Lilian but maybe kubalaba and okay those of you that are Justice Kanyihamba's fans, you can hardly believe that this gentleman, ever since we launched his 31st book on 26th March, this gentleman has come up with the extra 2 books. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. And one is with Lillian already, the other one is also with the Rogers already. So maybe that's what can be briefly discussed and see how best he can substantiate on the very books tomorrow at 11 by God's grace. One of the books shows volume 1. Oh. So we should be expecting more volume 2. This one, in the Pearl of Africa, the unexpected happens. The Land Review, he's compiling all his articles that he used to write in one of the dailies in Uganda, and he's now making them more or less like a booklet as well. So okay. These are extra. In fact, there should be 3 for another one. So yeah. This is volume 1. This is volume 1, yeah, of those articles he used to write in I think Monta, yeah, Monta, yeah. So yeah, this is volume 1 of those because they used to come once a week for very good period of time, good years. So this is volume 1 of that. And then the woman I have, the women he has loved. Yeah, the women he has loved. Yeah. So the title is also there. Okay. And the other one as well. Yeah. The defeat of President Museveni. This is a serious title. Yeah. I hope it has guidelines on how these are going to go about that. But you're welcome today on The Drive. We are so glad that you're joining us. We are going to have an informed perspective on the current affairs, what has been happening. As we wait for Kanyihamba, he'll give us the land review, as he says, on a few of other legal issues. But before that, we wanted to have you to look into the perspective of all the things that have happened. Wait a second, Rogers. So his is land review, now mine is which if no, any land or the activist? No, his is always land because apparently he's a land person. And, but has there been something like the ignorance view.
No, there has not been. No, okay, lawyers, and him being a senior lawyer, of course, for that reason, they call themselves land friends, so we are giving him the land view.
Okay, I'll step here, I think, in the shoes of the peasant's view.
No.
Okay, fine.
By the time we think you have a best perspective, we also know that you have, let's say, a junior land view. He has a senior land view. But from what has happened, the other day, the DP Democratic Party had a presser with their president addressing them, and he dwelled so much on the fact that the NUP president, Mr. Kyagulanyi Robert Sentamu, is being surrounded by hypocrites. In fact, he said he and the Ugandan people are so annoyed at those politicians who took away the victory from their hands. He says it was very possible, it was in their grip, and the people, he called the milk-card politicians, stole away that from their hands. What do you think of that?
First of all, Mao is both right and wrong, but also to say, on the other side of the bridge, it's a babyish talk, for lack of another word, of Museveni mulungi naye abamweta olodde. That's madness. Yeah, because once you cannot be surrounded by hypocrites unless you are one. Yeah? Unless you are one, because you open the doors for these hypocrites and you know them. So the mere fact that you bring them close, you're either one of them or they are one of you. So for me, all politicians are surrounded by those people, but the moment you accept them, then you become part of them. Mention all these bigger and smaller political parties. The mere fact that because you see, the hypocrisy has been manifesting itself in different occasions. You'd see, there is that malice, there is that propaganda, and political parties. Remember one of the political parties here, where they had the molds and the non-molds. Yeah. So, if that is what definitely Mao, in regards to politics, is mature than I am. And like one of your shows here, the Disoria Mukuru. But sometimes this Disoria Mukuru can become blind and doesn't see things very well, especially with the colors. Sometimes this Disoria Mukuru can confuse colors. White can be seen as cream. So sometimes it cannot be fully.
Of course,
out of experience.
You know why? Because this very Disoria Mukuru, sometimes they work with sticks, guiding sticks. Because if the Disoria Mukuru was purely clear, there was no need, there shouldn't be need for the very Mukuru to move with a guiding stick. Then they would say, Obongo Mukuru.
I thought the Elisa is more like a symbolism of someone has lived for that long and have probably seen enough and experienced just equally enough. So for that reason, they say, this audio mukuru, I want to
but you see, as someone who has been in a law school, there should be, there should be, I think even this Mumbeja, with due respect to Sebo, it should be, all these proverbs and idioms, they should also have exceptions. It is mukuru, but with an exception. Because but also to say, yes, it is factual that political parties are full of hypocrites. Also, political party heads have hypocrites around them. But for me now, my philosophy is, so as long as you accept those hypocrites, then you are one of them. And this takes us back to due honesty, that our political party leaders aren't honest. I am a political activist here, and I follow the sequence of events from A to Z. Someone sits in a press conference, I'm like, here he's just lying. He also knows the truth. As in, he knows the truth, yeah.
But most of the times, either it is right, or sometimes they are scapegoating. Because we have DP president saying that, you see, he was leveraging on Kyagulanyi. What had failed him that he thought Kyagulanyi would provide? Before he calls others milk-card politicians.
No, but honesty is needed here, Rogers and Lillian, and our viewers. I am this follower, a passionate follower of politics. Kyagulanyi, somewhere in Makerere, he was spitting fire. Like dinosaurs. Mao was the happiest man there when Kyagulanyi was hitting who? Literally, he was hitting message. You can't hear contest 4 times. I mean, those words are record.
Then you come the 5th time and tell us
the way Mao was clapping, I want to believe he could even have gotten some blood clot. Because, I mean, 24/7, clapping. Yeah? Now, when things have changed, now he now sees Chagulanya, he's still as hypocrites. So, one wonders. In my language, they say, like you sleep, you don't cover yourself. By around 6 p.m., you're shivering, then you begin covering yourself. But people are waking up to go and work. So most likely, he's one of the people who have Kweshweka when it is already morning. Because he should have seen all these things. But it goes back to honesty and that greed amongst, if not all opposition people.
Are they corrupt also?
See, corruption.
That they no longer think about the change they are standing for.
Yesterday I was watching you and you were trying to define and describe different forms of corruption.
Yes.
Sorry to say, I think 99.9999 of not simply politicians, of Ugandans are corrupt.
Why are you saying
that? Is a serious allegation.
That's a very big
Begin from churches. Begin from churches. Do you know they have specific, they are called verses, they have specific verses there?
Yes, in the Bible. Yeah, that say you be generous, you only get if you give.
Someone tells you your heaven is in heaven. Your heaven is in heaven. And then he drives a monster vehicle here for you. I mean, like, but why don't you also wait for the heaven in heaven? Why here? Why drive a monster vehicle with another vehicle?
No, they're trying to... They also want to show the grace of God that He provides.
And if there is one annoying word, is that indiga thing. I am not one of the indiga. I mean, you can't call me a sheep. I mean, even when we were growing up from childhood, like, we went Amawe, like, what? Like, you wendiga way. It used to be so demeaning. So to say corruption has sunk into the veins of almost every single person, that a kid, when they are born, they begin to cry, you bribe them by giving them a bottle straight away. Then they keep quiet as they sip and, sip in the...
At times they cry when they're hungry. They cry because they are hungry and then they need something to fill their stomachs. So that's the reason.
Fill their what? Underline the word, fill the word. So all these politicians, most of them want to do what?
To fill their stomachs. It's
going to be like, we're going to do like poems. I mention statement, you finish. It's like rap music.
But can a disunited opposition oust Mr. Museveni out of power?
I think it's a both yes and a no. Because you don't need to, you may not need by the to unite to oust a monster. You need to preach the gospel for people to believe in that disunited opposition. So you pick yourself, you isolate yourself from the rest and say, I am standing. Because Bobi Wine hadn't united with anyone at a time when he had all this wave to believe in him. He was standing alone. In fact, some people thought that his unity with other political forces was rather a disgrace, and they thought he would stand alone. Because you see, even in unity, should be a principled unity. Because if the left-winger unites with the rightist, these are two different ideologies that may not serve any purpose. Because you become confused. You get? So sometimes it's like saying, we have one house of prayer where you have Muslims, Catholics, and the rest. And then you're preaching to the heavenly things. You confuse people sometimes.
The general cause is that people are transformed because there is a belief that the common goal is that there is a God.
No, sometimes it confuses because while the Muslim will bend down to bow their forehead down, the Catholic will be busy doing the bonnet. You get, if it was one thing house. So whereas a Muslim will say, I don't want shoes in that prayer house, if it's a prayer house, the Catholic and the Protestants will also bring in their shoes. So before you know it, now a Muslim is castigating the Christians for dirtying the prayer house than focusing on to praying and asking God to forgive them. So that's why sometimes this unity can confuse people.
Bw'otunuulira opposition ya Uganda olabirira nga wakyaliwo struggle bonna gye bazzenga boogerako.
Yeah, by the way, there is a big struggle. The first struggle is it's evident that some strugglers in the struggle came when they were struggling and they no longer struggle. They came walking, now they have bigger monster vehicles. That's a struggle rate. So if it's about change, so many have changed themselves. And we have to take recognition that some people change themselves. People came with one vehicle, they now have ready vehicles. That's change, definitely. Maybe what was lacking is for us to know which change they mean. Because everyone who has brought change here and who has been in struggle has not told us what do you mean by, and that's a question that young people should also ask. When you say change, change for who?
For Uganda.
Museveni said it was a fundamental change. Did we dig deeper to ask fundamental change, but for who?
For Ugandans.
No, he didn't mention that.
He said it's a fundamental change.
Yes.
He simply said it's a fundamental change, and people clapped. And he has changed, and should clap for him because he has changed. That's what he meant. His grandchildren are born out of the country. He has over 40 vehicles, inclusive of a toilet moving with him, a mobile toilet. He has everything on him. So that's the change he perhaps meant. So even when the opposition come on to our campaign platforms, do we go ahead to ask which change do you exactly mean? Is it ours or your change? Because if it's theirs, most of them have achieved that change.
How do we achieve that change? Because you just mentioned that about 99% of Ugandans are all corrupt in some way or another. And then we want to have the change, but all the people are basically the same as those they are trying to change. How do we now move away from where we are to where we want to be?
I think you guys, your platform and other people should amplify the forces of changing the mindset. Because some people are corrupt ignorantly. They do not know that they're even corrupt. They don't know. But most people are corrupt, but they don't know that they are corrupt. Then there are others who are forced to be corrupt. And then, in fact, there is voluntary corruption, involuntary corruption.
But that's also going back to living away the principles, because sometimes you can avoid the corruption. I don't know the involuntary.
I watched your show with ACFIM delegate here, who said, yes, we want to fight monetization of politics.
Yes.
But then there is this old person who has, today 22nd, 23rd?
23rd.
So if I may be right, Christmas is Saturday.
Yes.
You know, there are some people even in my village who have been contributing money to buy beef since January last year. Sorry, this year.
To buy?
Beef for their Christmas.
For their families?
Yes. And now that person, imagine they are voting on Friday and you give them 2,000. What do you expect of them? So even when we castigate the corrupt, for some reason we have to ask ourselves, but what, that's the other involuntary what?
Corruption. I want to agree with the notion, but I also have this fact that when you stand and you know that your society is in a different direction, it's probably doing contrary to what it should be doing. It also includes sacrifice, which includes every one of us sacrificing what they have to be able to get the change they want. So if someone is going to say that for the meal on Saturday, I should give my votes to a wrong person, does that change our society?
I'll take you back to the principle of self-preservation. That principle of self-preservation is that now we are many in this. There are some people who are not seen in this camera, but here we are three. If Rogers, you turned against, if we all turned against you, you just can't imagine where you would get the powers to fight back. Because your conscience tells you that you're about to die, and the best you can do is now to push back. So the same thing in regards to the principle of self-preservation. There are some people who think that they can simply preserve themselves by that katuki or 5K when they are being moved to vote. Because they are perhaps about to die, so that's the only thing they are left with. So it goes back to self-preservation.
If they get their katuki, everything is sorted.
Not everything. That time
everything is sorted. But how best can you describe Uganda's politics?
We have opposition that behaves like bees, an angry bee. You know, when a bee stings you, it's chased away from the beehive. Did you know that? Once you get. So because of our anger, we are behaving like bees. We are stinging everyone that comes across and losing relevance after stinging. You know, when a bee stings everyone, it loses relevance in a beehive. So Ugandan opposition is behaving like stupid bees. They sting, and everywhere you sting, and remember it has one If it's a bullet, it's just one.
It's one, yes.
Yeah, it stings you
Once and it's
expelled from the beehive. So Ugandan opposition is behaving like bees. Given what we see on social media, that time I watched you covering a new press conference. I call them Mbwaza Kuno. You know, Mbwaza Kuno will always come and now abuse. You know, that time, I mean, the people that you see, when you host opposition, you are okay. When you host NRM, we have always known alternative being NRM. When you broadcast no, it's what? This red card thing. PFT, Noop will be there to hammer you. When you, I mean, reasoning like bees.
There are bullets from all corners.
Yeah.
Politics we Uganda yafuka wakulya.
Balinga njuchi, nti sebusiru bwa njuchi, what is to sting in Uganda? Mumbeja, wait. What is to sting in Uganda? Tegere boli mumbeja GMO. Genetically modified mumbeja. So nti enjuchi sebusiru bwa njuchi manafe mujja tukiza ffe naffe ng'Abaganda gere tubeke engero ze tuleeta sebusiru bwa njoka zikola ki something neka tuna sebusiru bwa njuchi yo bwe mara God, what is to sting in Uganda nti yo eba n'akantu kamwe eri basasi kekoyesa sikuluma there's some other word nti kati sebusiru bwa opposition yaffe ya wano nti obusungu bweyina ekomekereza yeyisiza nga njuki yate enjuki kasemalo kakozesa neku nekuluma kati kati twayirawo omuna tusonyiwa Abaganda kati kati ombwejjemu kati siri Muganda kati mala okuluma tekkirizibwa mu what's a beehive tekkirizibwayo nti kati naffe aba opposition tutandise okweyisanga mu muzinga very good nti kati muzinga nti kati naffe eneeyisa yaffe embi n'olw'obusungu bwaffe obutabukomako tutandika okuba nti we sting buli muntu abeerawo ate kati tutakkirizibwawa ekyandibadde ng'ekigo nekuli omuzinga mu kyo kyokkosa tulinga tugamba tulina ebyokulwanyisa bitono kubanga singa eyo kyeri ekimanyi nti ekyokulwanyisa ina kimu yandibadde kikwata n'obwegendereza n'ekikozesa nekikozesa okulwa mugaso
naye kati saawa zino bali mu kwerumaluma bw'otunulira ekyabadde ekayunga buli omu anenya munne ono n'anenya oli
omwaka gumu opposition lweteerumyerumye twava mu kwerumaluma tuli mu kwegayagaya by 2024 tujja kuba mu kwemiramira because that's the process of kulya. You kweruma, then you kugaya, then you kumida. Like
I think that is not happening only in Uganda. It's happening across, and I think it also goes back to what you just said, that the leftists have their ideas, the rightists also have their ideas. Now, all these opposition leaders have a direction from which, and the angle from which they view things, and how they think they should work.
And their ideologies too.
Except maybe for the fact that they are now focusing on the fighting, that they are losing focus of the cause. But I don't know how do we get to this part of the struggle. That we know we are all, marginalized, if that is a thing, or victims of the regime, as they call it. But we want to make sure that Uganda tomorrow is better for our children, for our grandchildren. How do we get to that?
I think for me, HCND would serve a better thing, because in most cases, HCND will house all ideologies.
HCND is more like a coalition.
It's a movement. A movement will house all ideas, get off the oppressor, and then settle yourselves. But the moment you promote, in my view, and this is my personal, this is my opinion, political parties, as of now, in my view, are understood by even the leaders of the political party. I want to believe, with due respect, if you got 70% of the NUP MPs and also 70% of the FDC people, any other party, and ask them, what's your ideology? I can assure you, it will be like Museveni, I know Kuvao, Museveni, all those things. No one can explain. Very few. And diehards of the different political party presidents, I can also assure you that you might be even shocked that even all the political parties that are registered in this country, the leaders of those political parties, most of them might not even be having specific ideologies that they believe in. And you will be shocked. Because even the ministers of the regime, besides serving Museveni, the father of the nation, as they lie to them, I highly doubt whether the likes of Baryomunsi also understand the NRM ideology. I just doubt.
He has been there.
Yeah, you see,
for quite a long
you see, it's
period
one
of
thing to
time.
be a cadre and you follow blindly, and also understanding the ideology. By the way, the NRM ideology could be known to one person. In fact, like three, maybe Museveni, the father. I am sure even Moses doesn't understand the father's ideology. Maybe Saleh, the brother. Most likely, Janet, the wife. The rest, for sure, with Nabanja, with her Nabanjaism. Do you think she even understands the ideology of NRM? No, let's be honest.
Honorable Rebecca Itwala Kadaga.
Oh, you'll be shocked.
Former
No,
Parliament.
she was shocked. She had thought she knew until when she was pushed away from being speaker. She's like, hey, this ideology, I wasn't part of this ideology. You get? Because you know, we all know. There is always that moment of waking up and like, oh, I didn't know I was following something I didn't know.
I'm inspired.
If she had known the ideology.
Right now, let's say the Secretary General of the NRM political
Who,
party.
Tadwong?
Yes.
Lillian, I don't want you to take me through the thing. But to be honest with you, the ideology of NRM is known to most likely three people. Then the opposition, it's a big pity. The very few political parties continue to teach people about the ideology. And these gentlemen...
Recently, bagoberera kiriwo kati ekitambula kye because bw'otunuulira abaasala okuva mu political parties ez'enjawulo ne beegatta ku NUP olw'ensonga nti yali eyina njiyita amaanyi mu kiseera ekyo nti bannabyabufuzi oba abali ku ludda oluvuganya gavumenti baagala we baliira nabo.
Ate ogwo okumeka kubanga omanyi kati abalabi bammwe nze bino ebijja kuba byange nga bwe mbyogera bwe mbitwala because I came with my head, I didn't really not anywhere. Nti bw'ogoberera ebigambo ebiriwo ne bwe bibadde n'ebiribaawo kiragira ddala teri ideology nti omuntu leero era kati singa wajja ekisinde ekirala I can assure you n'ennupu naye abantu bagiggwako singa wabawo ekisinde
kizibu kya political parties oba ky'abantu
kya ffenna nti the political parties haven't taken an initiative to teach people what they stand for. Because this is with due respect, I have watched some of the leaders on TV tunakubuuza ekibuuzo azininga asa tugiyina ningugyako kugamba naye Museveni atukoze si bulungi Museveni alina okuvaako. You know that cheap talk yekisabiya nti bannayuganda baveeyo takukoze bulungi and then what? Because it's one thing for you to also get rid of this old man, and this is to sort of that's the law of nature. He will go, and then what? Which opposition ready okutwala obuyinza? Yes, but there is also, in fact, ekibuzo kyandibadde yongerezaako opposition ready okutwala obuyinza ne opposition eri ready okukozesa obuyinza okukyusa eggwanga. It's another thing because you can take buyinza
and not know how to use it.
Because it has happened. It has happened in so many countries. People have taken power, by the way, and then what? Sengafudde mu ngazeemu. I don't know.
Those are the words of no one. I don't know Sengafudde mu ngazeemu. I'm definitely not a Muganda, but it's from Mwengo Sahati, it's Buganda.
I know it simply means that enkeja amazze galeka mu nyanja negasanga mu sepiki.
I don't even know what enkeja is.
You see? Okay, for our viewers, that Sengafudde mu ngazeemu is more or less to say that the fish leaves water in the ocean and also finds it in the saucepan. So there's
no run away. So we're going to go in for a short commercial break. We'll come back in the second hour. You know, I'm learning Uganda from these shows, you know. with Mumbeja and another Mulangira, I want to mention where he's from, but he knows where he's coming from. We're going to go in for a short commercial break. In the next second hour, you should be able to call in. Leave your comment on our Facebook pages. We are streaming live. So you can ask your question if you have a question specifically for Norman or even about Professor Kanyamba. You will be able to answer and address that. And on the current affairs, we are here to inform each other, so make sure that you put in that comment. Educate us as we educate you. We'll come in the second hour, you should be able to call in and you can put your views across. Good morning.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage. The Voltage gaba masannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu eby'enjawulo omwo mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna sawa 11 paka sawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digitalk Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Digitalk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Digitalk, real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Kulikanyo mukumula mwoko the Mighty Drive ye program Jory Mukulaba anze omumbejja luwedde Lilian awamu ne munange Rogers tuli ahabwe tuli n'omwami Tumuhimbise Noman ono nateye mukwanaganya wetinde the Alternative Uganda era nga munange olwaleero we tulinnya okuba nga twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo nga bwe twabategeezezza olunaku olw'ejjo olwaleero twadde tuli bakubeera ne Professor Dr. Johnson Kanyehamba mu studios naye ate tetusobodde olw'ensonga ezimu oba endala olw'ensonga nti yafunyemu obukosefu ne tutasobola kuba nga ate tubeera naye olunaku olwaleero tuli mu ssaawa yaffe ey'okubiri era ng'osobola okuba nga otukubirako mu studios butereevu n'obuuza ekibuuzo mukulu Noman ate n'abeera nga akuddamu tuli ku nsonga ezigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga erya Uganda ze tuli mu kwogerako era nga ate awo wekusabira gwe alina ekibuuzo nga tosobodde kuyita ku ssimu osobola okuba nga ate oyita ku Facebook page yaffe The Alternative Uganda mu comment section n'oteekayo ekibuuzo kyo ne tubeera nga ate tukiyitamu omwami ate n'asobola okuba nga naye kiddamu osobola okuba nga otukwirako ku namba z'essimu zino wammanga MTN eri 0789 017145 0789 017145 oba ya Airtel eri 0759 132310 0759 132310 enamba ate eya Airtel kosobola okuba nga ate oyita n'obuuza ekibuuzo ate ne tubeera nga munnanga ate mwami ali mu studios mwami mukulu Noman nabeera nga ate akuddamu bulungi naye bwe tuli wano njagala twogereko kukyali ekayunga sabbiiti ewedde ennaku z'omwezi zaali 16 ate akalulu ka LC5 chairman owekayunga munnange ate tugambe lwekasuulibwa munnange era nga results ezavaayo munnakibiina kya NRM omwami Andrew Muwonge yali amaze okuba nga ate akalulu kano akawangulira waggulu era nga mu lwokaano luno mwalimu mbayite bakontanyi baali mukaaga era nga okuno kwaliko omukyala amanyiddwa nga Harriet Nakwedde era ng'ono yali ava mu kibiina kya National Unity Platform naye teyasobola kubanga awangula era olunaku lwali lwa Monday NUP ate lwe yali etuwa presa yayo era omukyalo ono n'ayogera biki ate byagenda okuba nga azzaako wamu n'ekibiina okutwalizaamu naye nga tetunaba kutuukayo eyo mukulu Norman tukomyewo ewuwo nga twagala oba oli awo munnayuganda awudde okuva gy'oli ku ngeri gwe gye walabamu akalulu kano ak'ekayunga ka LC5 akakamalirizibwa.
Ekisooka kya byonna tekayina njawulo na bululu bulala n'obubeera obwa general kubanga in fact tebaba kuba nnyo compared naye wakati mmwe muli bato abalaba by election ya Willy Kize Kasese mbona tebakubye naawe tebawadde naawe muggo because ekisooka kya byonna nze teri kyasinze kunyiiza as someone who is in opposition nga kimubiri Museveni abakola kino ne mukuba emiranga naye ngudde mukimanyi. I mean, what do you expect of him? That is him. Naye mu byonna nti akalulu kabbibwa sure deal yensi etunula nekyongedde okulaga opposition nti we basitaani etandise okujjayo enjala ezaayiza ddala manyi wamukwano kwekwekerera nesooka ezikweka nekwagula kukwaguza bwawo ne kati yazijjayo bweti naye kati balina kuba nga beetegefu kubanga kijja kusukka waawo naye mu byonna nze nga bwe nze nga ngoberera the sequence of events. There's one thing that I want to also say. I may have I may have reservations about, let's say, Dr. Besigye. There are some moments where he has been inconsistent. They are there, and that's human nature. But our colleagues also, their consistency in inconsistencies is consistently consistent. Because when Dr. Besigye saw himself with the team and that this guy is people's what? People's government. I can assure you so many people did what? Came and castigated him. But you know, I have heard yesterday as I came here that the NUP candidate is going to swear herself in. So who is fooling who? And you see, you guys, and these are the honest discussions we need to hold as citizens. And I'm glad my senior, Chagulanyi, nowadays, I take time and read, and he's like, you people, we need to have an honest discussion. I'm like, okay, it's high time, you know, yeah, you realize we need an honest what? Discussion. Guys, it's one thing to hold this, if this was a Bible, and say, I know, in fact, I can even swear myself here as president of the country. Do you know that? It's possible. And then what?
And then you become president.
How?
Shadow president.
Which shadow? You guys, let's be also honest to ourselves.
Onako remande mwami Kyagulanyi bwe yali atandika okwogera yagamba alina gwawulidde ng'agamba ng'ayita mwami Museveni ng'amwita president. Naga kati bwabwe mba nga muyita oli president olonze mbeere ki?
By the way.
Gwokimanyi nga tukyali bato nga temwetemu oba olya nga temunazaalibwa nga muli bato nnyo tuyitangako bakabaka ku ssomero muze kabaka
kati gwe wayita kabaka
nekimpa engule nanti kinkubuuza nekimpa engule ng'emmengo taliiyo
ku ssomero gwe wali kabaka
otyo you see guys, let us be, you see, these are some of the honest discussions that we should hold as a country, that we waste a lot of time in jokes. Some people, with due respect, castigated Besigye for creating a parallel wing. It was maybe some other form and tactic of activism. But at heart, you also know that even when you swear and sit where, and you have a council, and you have a budget to run your district, you get, it's not being honest. I think for me, not inviting people to do dubious things, but rather for me a demonstration would work more than simply swearing in. Maybe if they tell us that swearing in is a demonstration, because also this dishonesty misleads us. If the corrupt judicial system that you lost trust in at a presidential material or a presidential level, how do you expect the same corrupt and pretenders come and respect a mere LC5 and underline the word mere?
Did you see what happened in the mob's elections yesterday? It was basically the same as what was there.
They said an apple can never fall so far from its tree.
Yeah. But
wasn't it an NRM
it was
candidate who
ran away with the ballot box?
No, thanks Mr. Museveni for indeed educating the Yobazuku. At least if it was around 6 p.m. So gamba BM mukazikiza. As others, you know. So for me to say opposition, at time we all of us galvanized our strengths and also be honest to ourselves, because you see, dishonesty, internal dishonesty is so bad. That's living in denial.
But what do we do? Now we have the opposition, we have Nakwede, who knows that going to the judiciary, is it the judiciary? Yes. To petition the results that happened is a waste of time, because at the end of the day, basically you know the results before you even go there.
No, your friend told us, which word did they say?
Kubazoganya.
I mean, we have over kubalabisa for long, so there's no need for kubalabisa now. Because you see, we kubalabisa, and then what?
Because now you're legitimizing President Museveni's thing. Because when you go and swear yourself in, the law is very specific. You don't agree with the results, go and petition. So if you have not followed the process, he has a good reason to make sure that you're not doing whatever you're doing. So now are we abandoning the law and doing it the reverse? Are we not doing what exactly is also doing?
For me, with all our viewers and due respect to each one of us, we just need to do civic education so that buli omu atandikire wali nekyayina nekyasobola in everyone's capacity. Kati obanga bino ebyokugenda okwirayiza bigenda okukola
tugende tulayire.
I could also contribute another Bible as quoted me.
Halayire.
Salayire yirayize.
Secretary General w'ekibiina kya NRM Mwami Richard Tadonge yategeezezza nnaku ntono nnyo emabega nti buli kalulu kabeera akakasa mmemme NRM neefuna obuwanguzi mukisaawo nti babbye akalulu.
You see, for some reason, Lydian and Rogers and our viewers, I am one person. I contested in 2011 as MP Bukoto Midwest, and I thank God that I lost. Do you know why? Most likely I wasn't prepared to be MP, but also I was prepared to behave differently from the parliamentarians we see in parliament. Our Museveni watusingira amagezi ayi tulina okukikkiriza nti ye akutega n'agamba wakati there is no way you can come and say Museveni so useless, NRM is so corrupt, this dictatorship, naye nga ate muntu y'omu n'akuwalidika n'akuwalidde opposition n'akuwa n'akasaala. You get? Ate kati gwe kino nga so kiri okay, ate n'ovuma omwana omulala gubadde omutwalo mukalulu. I don't know that. Because gwe akasaalako ka myaka 5. Omwana gw'ovuma ye gwe baaguze mu kalulu bamuwadde mutwalo ogwo mu myaka emeka?
5.
You get? So there is that dishonesty. So what is the solution to this dishonesty? For me, and this is a personal opinion, singa tusaawa embeera nga teri kalulu mu ggwanga muno soke tuggyeko ono kyanjawulo. Because abamu ku ffe bwe batuuse eri ne babawa ekitumbuwa ne bakigaaya, I can assure you boogera ebigambo tobiwulira bulungi. Bavuya, like, because they are literally chewing something. They are no longer audible and articulate enough. Because I have colleagues who are MPs now. Someone tell me, but you see, no man, every teacher we are honorables. You get? kati wetava ku ekyo ntugamba naye kati mwategedde teri kalulu tusooke tugyewo monster eno tugyewo ekibi kino ekiriwo awutudde mu kalulu, maybe things will change. Naye okusubiramu this thing will let us speak within, tujja kutuusiza eri munda. It's just it's a political dishonesty.
Omukulembeze w'eggwanga yagamba akapapula tekasobola mujja mu buyinza.
And we are also agreeing that elections are not necessary nowadays and won't even.
I am sorry to say it's now 4 years to the general elections. I will want you guys to spare me space nange munkomyewo mumbuuze oba abantu abagamba akalulu tekakola oba tebayisimbewo mu 2025. I'll be here by kati awusimanyi kyebajja tugamba at the time. That's why sometimes these things, when I was being trained like in these things of course organizing people and others, ultimatums kasito setting nga zikulya, sometimes you rather not because ojagamba akalulu tekakola ki ng'era munnammwe bwe yagamba democracy does what mumale nammwe democracy does what
democracy doesn't okay it works.
It's okay. No. Odiani. I mean,
our friend, the gentleman.
Kati zingenda kubabuuza statement nga mugimalayo. Someone said democracy does what?
Does work.
He believes what? Mobilize what? So what has happened? You see, kati ebigambo ebyo time comes no time kama mukama oba nayogera bya.
N'abagamba bagenda kubalabisa. Naye bw'otunuulira ebiri mu agenda ya PFG emu ku nsonga gye batunuulidde kwe kuba nti baagala kujja mukulembeze wa ggwanga mu buyinza nga 2026.
Fena tukyetaaga naye issue
kinaasoboka.
Kisoboka by the way naye tekigenda kusoboka nga opposition tuli mu bucupa twegaaya nga busene.
Kinaasoboka mwami Norman nga temuyise mu kalulu.
By the way kyekyasinze, I think for me it's the easiest, it would be the easiest format. Do you know why? Nti buli muntu NRM mutuse ku busomyo. Buli muntu kati ne bwo yasimula yero yasimula NRM buli kubonabona kwa fefe nange eggwanga tukusiba ku NRM naye aba opposition by the way sina opposition si bantu naye abakulembeze ba opposition tebayambye eggwanga lino kuliraga nti waliwo omusitale mu maaso, that white thread or you know that white line nti fefe nyini era bw'ogobera. That's why sometimes kati osobola okupikinga ebintu ebimu nga birungi mu mouses pressure n'ebirala, you get kuba kati tuli mu 2021. We are left with how many years? 4 full 4 years n'obutawera because nomination za obululu obuddako za around mu gwa 2025. Njagala ombuyireyo just one political party engeri organized for that kalulu jeko NRM because NRM yo
from General Munto's speech the other day when he was hosted on Hotline, he said they are organizing grassroots and setting up chapters and setting up offices in countrysides, so probably they will be organized by then.
It's one thing to have an office and another thing for people to believe in the ideology in that office, because FDC has offices almost everywhere. You get, but ask some people in some of the places, and they tell you so that they can tell you on whether they know the ideology of FDC.
Do people even believe in those ideologies? Like, do they even know what ideologies?
First of all, people do not know the ideologies, but also political parties are shy to discuss the ideologies for fear of fights from Europe. You get,
so
because the moment, for example, I know. Take for instance the LGBTQ things. There are very few people who will come and say, I am against this, because definitely you will have opened a straight war between you and some superpowers in Europe or in America.
Who fund a lot of institutions.
So you'll be there hiding yourself. That's the same thing with ideologies. That the moment you say, I am a rightist, the socialist, they will not even give you a single shilling. You don't even step in their country. So you keep around playing around. So to say, even the political party heads, either they know their ideologies, but they know that the moment they declare in body light about the ideology, no one
consequences.
Don't you think that the politics is individualized?
Definitely, yes. That's why I have always been against multipartyism as of now, because we were misled by Museveni, putting us forcefully into the movement, omugendo gw'omugendo. You get, and he said all of us were movementists. So people nowadays vote the handsomeness and the beauty of someone's face. That's why, and the pockets, than the political party. And I'm a moving witness that in my constituency there are polling stations where Dr. Besigye would win me definitely because of his power and experience, and I would lose in a specific polling station. But both of us were FDC. You get? So there are some constituencies you'll find an NRM MP loses, an opposition, an NRM MP loses, but the opposition presidential candidate gets more votes.
Yes.
So that means people do not vote political parties. People still vote individuals.
There's this statement that I wanted to ask you from one of the books of Professor Kanyihamba. He says, all cats have four legs. My dog has four legs, therefore my dog is a cat. What does that mean?
When I was in his home yesterday, but one, of course, even when he was weak, he was like, this is what came to me as I wrote this book. The analogy means, repeat, it's my dog has
all cats have four legs.
Okay, very good.
My dog has four legs, therefore it is a cat.
Very good. That because Museveni behaves like a political party, it has a symbol, it has a slogan, it has everything. And therefore, it has an ideology, presumably. Therefore, NRM is a what? A political party. And it's like, no, it can't be. That's the analogy. That's what he means. It behaves like
a political party.
But when actual sense, it's not a political party.
It's the government.
What is it?
It is just, no, it can't even, it's, which word? It's still a rebel group. It is still a rebel group. That is why.
This is NRM, not NRM.
No, it is National
Resistance Movement.
Resisting who? Do you want, if you want to know whom they are resisting, you wake up and walk on the streets with a placard, just a placard. You know that these guys are resistant, still resisting. So to Justice Kanyihamba and so many of us, we still think and believe that the NRM is still a rebel group. That is why, but you guys, much as you're journalists, stop hiding and tell people the truth that you also know by Museveni's words. It is I, my army, my what, my everything. Remember when he was mocking teachers, you want to challenge my power, I am president of this country. You see, when you reach home and like, you guys, I am your father, then there's a problem with your fatherhood.
No, you have to remind them that I am your father.
How many times has your father reminded you?
At times, it's automatic. Very good. There is a problem with your
fatherhood doesn't.
Yes.
No, it's okuwa badde toliwo okumala ebbanga nga bano abaana bato nga bakwerabidde face tebajjukira bulungi.
Ate gwe bitegedde bulungi. Kitegeeza kati ono taata olwokuba tabaddengawo in terms of service delivery abaana batufu okola kyo kumwerabira agamba you get kati ino bajjukiza abaana nze taata wammwe because service delivery yabeerabira emirimu ku bavubuka yabeerabira like everything. Ate nga ye kati manyi taata w'eggwanga lino alinga omuzeeyi atula mu kasonda natandika okubwebwena obufe bw'enkoko bikinajjanga kukusenga naye wano kabuto kamuli ku mimwa ninatandika baana bange mugume tugenda kwe ninga ye mukufu kati abaana bagamba nno toli taata ng'olina obajjukiza mutegeere nti taata wammwe kyekino ekiri in this regime Museveni. That the more you want to remind people that your kids that you are their father, there is problem.
Is this leadership a crisis of Africa? There are people who are castigating now William Ruto of Kenya for running for presidency when he has been deputy president for so long. The Libya elections were postponed indefinitely with no good reason. Is it the same thing? Is it just an African issue? Are you even one of the people who are castigating? Like, do you think Ruto is doing good?
And when it comes, I have interest in Kenyan politics at a personal level. And Africans had been brilliant because someone will tell you that civilization began in Africa, Egypt, and then it crossed. But I think there is some, for lack of another word, some specific curse onto African leaders. they have this sense of entitlement. There is this greed, in fact, unjustifiable greed. Because between me and you guys, what has Ruto achieved in Kenya that now it requires him to be a full president? I have been following what he's been saying. I hear now castigating who? Raila Odinga, and then Uhuru. But we all know the madness that man in a company of Uhuru did. You get? Before he became, on his journey to become deputy president. It should be taught to our children at the age of 0 years that you can serve and go, and you can't achieve everything on earth.
Is it about
what else is Ruto going to bring to Kenya? In any case, what hasn't, Raida, what is in you? The father was in government, he was strong, then the son, the grandson, and the Holy Spirit. This should stop. It should stop. So literally for me, I am anti-Raida, I'm anti-Uhuru, I'm anti-Ruto. There should be some other breed.
It's a family game.
It's a family and a specific clique. Today, Raida would be Kenyatta's enemy, Kumbe. Behind the curtains, they are shaking hands. It's stupid.
But na mu Uganda bazinga babyogera bwe bato nali bwati naye atenge mabega wa curtains ali bwati.
Nti kati buzibu buva nkitekere mu Luganda. Nti bannafa batulaba. Nti nchina nina interest mu kalulu ke Kenya, mu politics we Kenya because ebintu byaffe bisinga wano biyitirawo. Ate naffe Katonda bwana abatuddeko nga tuwanzeko eddusu tomanya. Naye omuntu akubuliza Ruto n'obwa Ruto bwe kikyatasobodde kukola nga deputy president nga kati asuubira kikola nga afuuse president.
But that has happened in different countries. We have had the United States, which is a superpower. Joe Biden is now the president of the US. He was the vice president of Barack Obama when he was president. So apparently...
Uganda tubabuza abatereezo bagambe Biden yali vice president wa Obama, Trump najjawo, Biden n'akomawo.
Yali akimye eki ky'ataasobola kuachivinga mu office.
Kati awo yono lwaki takwatiriddeemu katono. That's the point. But also to say, institutions of America compared to here, zikola for some reason. And if Biden misbehaved, America has impeached presidents. You get? I think Nixon was impeached.
Yeah, Nixon was impeached. Clinton himself was impeached.
Clinton almost naita kulugwanyu about the Monica Lewinsky saga nebirala. Naye mu Africa guba mululu. As in, if you, you can only compare African leaders' greed to a fox's greed. In fact, a fox or hyena.
Hyena, yes.
Yeah, our leaders, okumanya baluvu enemies balibweru. Ntira omululu gwa, the greed, their greed of African leaders can be compared to the hyena's greed. You know why? Because a hyena follows you up to your home, thinking that your arm is about to fall. That's the level of greed. Ye David ango ulimi lukivude wetu manyi eshayo mukono gugwa. That katugwe mululu gwa African leaders. Ntikati besa wa yonna bakola bangi sayo yonna mukono gugwa bagenda gulonda obaguli. Nti Ruto bwekuba okay, let us now go back. Let us become so African. About wealth, Abbi Echimara, because honestly his wealth can't be straight. It can't be. Babbi Echimara, okay, if it's about greed and wealth, he has achieved enough. Why doesn't he go back home and support another person? Nanabi Mtabanuani, Wamoy, happens to be my friend, Gideon. But for sure, Gideon, no way Gideon way. It's so bad in Uganda. I think for me, it's our take home is that Uganda should also learn. Ntibamuntabeera steady. Mutabano Museveni agenda bakwatamu ne muzukulu we katika tanze nalabye muhozi nga postinga mutabani windows na mtegekera 2070 eyo na windows na yali mu line. I think tunagamba that's the problem with Africans now. You get, so we have to do
bufuze kati bufuze bwansikira
atogo okumeka bwafuka dabulye takimanyi nti omukyala ajja kuyita ekkololo bawe akuyita entebe muganda wakuyita eggulu. You get, so
that's a shame. That's a shame. So kati vako pale.
Ale singa abadde ne muganda we nga ine sabo. Yandi wadaba ita musabo.
We got to talk politics of Kenya.
There are questions here, but now Uganda did Mwami Kim Solomon agamba political system is set by Western modern civilization. They groom and support whom they want to proceed with their programs in Africa. Anyone, or I think he meant any leader who attempts to think not to work under Western civilization control, they will overthrow him or be killed.
Yes, begin with Thomas Sankara.
Burkina
Faso. Very young. I want to believe if Sankara had lived for some time, Burkina Faso would be like Netherlands. Just believing. But it goes back to all of us as young people. Now we should first of all bury the likes of Museveni and his regime, and most likely also some other generations that follow him, and then begin to draft our own ideology as a generation, but most importantly as Africans and an African democracy. Because it hurts me to be here and like everywhere you want to quote, you see Socrates said, you see, you know those things. It's stupid. Maybe you can quote Nyungu Yamao. Maybe quoting the very rebellion. But what? 24/7, you see Napoleon, I hear this, the Waterloo, you know those things. They just annoy. Just disgusting.
African history is not so much documented that they were.
Because you chose not to document it.
No, that has not begun with that. That's a problem that was there.
Very good. Now you're here. Solve the problem. As young people.
Titus Jaram Nagamba kati Uganda way to say it's no longer a call of opposition or politicians. It's high time all we Ugandans come together to nunule our motherland. Now the major problem is we are in the system of Zenkolauze India. People don't want to reserve even a few days for their country.
Muntu will say, you can't give what you don't have. Kati basi reserving echi musajja wattu. Kati abana badda ku masomero.
I was actually, yes, coming.
Abana badda ku masomero the other weeks, I don't know, 2 weeks from now also. Nego manyi obwamo buli mu kubo omwo. Sango mukono.
Atambula yombaye.
Atenga ne sekukulu etuuse.
Ate sekukulu.
I was seeing in some news from Kenya that about 60% of Kenyans are not even preparing for Christmas because of economy.
But are the Ugandans prepared?
Same for Uganda, of course.
Katika today, my guys, munansonyiwa to maybe to become so primitive. Whose concept is sekukulu?
Tujukira mazali wa guys.
It's a religious concept.
N'abakkiriza.
Katika nkubulire, kati mumanyi mukyali baana bato as in age. Do you know it's a global marketing day for sekukulu? That's a global marketing day. Ngawe tuna akatale ko mubulu. Kati kukano katale ka mubulu kansi yonna. Do you know how much money capitalists are going to make simply because they reserve a specific day for making sales, market things? You know, they tell you simayanga Black Friday, simayanga bino stock mukadde. You get enter a new year with. Because I can assure you, we can also live minus sekukulu. Do you know it is possible?
Are you a believer, Mr. Robert?
You should have asked. You see, I'm a believer, and then believing in what? It's another question. Because there's one thing to be a believer, and then ask me believing in what? I'll take you back to it's called what? Caligma? It was what? A-level divinity. Before the gospel there was what?
Is it
Caligma? Before the gospel there was what? Chimareyo, you guys, we were at school.
I'm not so sure of the word.
That one I before gospel there was a gospel. Before the gospel there was what?
Gospel.
What else? I am a believer.
We shall move away from that, but before we go away from that
no, it goes back to the preparedness of Ugandans with Christmas. That you see, it also goes back to civic education. I tell my children, if there is no, there shouldn't be specific celebrations for Christmas, especially when you are not able. It's not fair. Okukirira mu katale k'omubulu, okukirira mu wino, nga Western Coast stress ninga abana balina ogenda ku ssomero. It's not fair. Tereko busentebo, I was seeing some photo trending omusajja yitisa omutwe gwo n'olulimi luvuddeyo nga he's happy. You get? It was trending. So bw'obanga toyina, and it's with due respect, bw'oba toyina oba toyina, tewessaamu gwa kabugu, teweetuga simply because abaana balina okulya ennyama. Because ennyama basobola n'ogiira nga si ku Christmas. Simanyiiyo teeka ligamba munente bayisala Christmas kokka.
Oboolyawo waliwo abamu abatagirya mu kiseera kiri nga bagirya ku sekukulu kokka.
Nanti we nkugambidde wano nti bw'otagirya ku Christmas teri teeka ligamba munente bayisala Christmas kokka. abaana mutubateekemu embeera etegeera nti nno bw'oba nga tewali sente za Christmas this season basobola okukuza odigo okimanyi mbu wa Museveni wabeere Christmas buli lunaku abantu abamu balina Christmas buli lunaku
but nsonga yennyini not on Christmas but on the economy it's reopening next year. Schools are reopening, parents don't have money, fuel prices are high, which means every social essential services are high. What are we going to do about this? Because amasomero tegaina sente bagenda overcharging abaana to be able to run schools. Parents don't have fees. That means they want to be able to take their children back to school, but even the taxes are not even going low. Nowadays okuvana kugenda abantu osasole emitwalo 10 just for transport one way. What is going on? How do we recover economically, do you think?
No, citizens are copying from the president that we have what we would call financial indiscipline. I was reading, perusing through that book, and Kanyihamba described Museveni's parliament as a monster parliament. So when you have financial indiscipline, you overspend vis-a-vis, you have over expenses, you spend more than you earn.
Yes.
To begin with, if, let me use this hypothetical theory. If I was president, I can assure you I would slash the salaries of high-ranking civil servants, slash it by, say, to 70%. I get the 30 to revamp the economy, give out loans to schools, those institutions, give out, enable citizens to get the little basics. For instance, because if such monies were slashed, it means it would also be possible for government to say that it's going to pay that 30% of the tuition of every student. Ojamudio noteka mukono zivudde wano, because I want to believe Parliament and the PSC, the minister, they can still survive with the 70% salary until when we get back to normal. It is possible. Nibola amabanja getuyina, it's because we have that financial discipline.
Dr. Besige, the other day was mentioning the 1 trillion going to State House, which is just a home of the president.
Because he has to move with the toilet, he has to move with those, I don't know how, over 100 vehicles.
So are the people really ready for this kind of recovery? Are there good mechanisms that should enable people? Are there incentives that are going to put people back on their feet, that they are going to be moving again? Or are we going to open and then we're going to economic depression and then all people are poor and people are not going to school, students?
Maybe to say, when haven't we been poor? That's another question. We have always been poor, but now we are poorer. For me, it's about will. There is no will amongst your leaders. If there was will, do you know how much money? Has any of the government officials accounted to us the monies they saved as a result of COVID? Because remember, government officials have always left the country, you know? I mean, has anyone come to tell us that you guys, buchanga tufuna COVID myaka ebiri, abakungu ba government batambula zino sente zetwa savings? Has any citizen asked about that amount? You get? Because everyone in the budget, zibeerawo simanyanga travels zebweru. So who has asked? Has our dear leader of opposition asked Parliament? Through Parliament, ask the minister to come and account. So for me, it's about will. There is no will. I can still say Uganda isn't poor, and neither is Africa poor. We simply have poor brains. But with the resources, go to Congo. With the brains, we are poor. Resources, very rich.
How do we put those resources to use?
Civic education, and because civic education will change the mindset. Impact knowledge, change attitude, you get? And the mindset.
Who is going to do that? If everyone is...
No, I am not everyone. So if you're part of the everyone, I'm not everyone.
No. Because when you are mentioning, again, I'm going back to your words. When you were mentioning earlier, you said almost 90% of Ugandans
I want to be one of the 10% who are not. That's why I said I am not everyone.
You're anyone.
I am that just someone.
Okay.
Kim Solome at a day comment nagamba, the problem of Uganda is that some Ugandans are confused. They really don't know what's really going on in terms of politics. They're just following leaders because others are following others are money makers. What Mwami Kim Waganda.
Yeah, Kim, you're not lying because now African politics is a shortcut to acquiring wealth. Yeah? That's now, by the now formula yokufuna kasente speed ogagawala mu Africa. Take a muka tono genda mu government yezale takola loss. I think it's the only betting organization, the betting formula. Jotekamu no siriwaza abantu ne bakulonda n'ogagawala n'obakubateke.
Batekamu sente abamu nezigenderayo mwami no.
Anati kati abamu kati abo era ekiruubirirwa kye kiba kyakujjamu. You get? So it's only shortcut to getting rich. It's simply joining African politics. That's why very few of them abali baze mu government nga bayina budget bayina singa mu bade musobola kufuna akafaananyi ka Museveni nga yakajja. You'd be shocked. Never need defeat. But I feel I mean, so it's a shortcut, but it goes back to me and you as a generation to teaching people to believe in goodness for all of us. Yeah, because you know this candle, lighting another candle doesn't lose anything.
Okay.
So singa twekwata nga generation. These discussions most likely we can change this country. Most likely.
Happy Nyazi Desire Agamba, good morning guys, thanks for the show. Was asking the difference between a politician and a political activist.
Politician and political activist. No, maybe an activist. An activist generally ye muntu avayo okulwanirira ensonga eziruma abantu ninga in particular tali on a specific political party. In most cases, that activist tatera kubeera na kiruubirirwa kibeera mu position.
Yes, don't you
in
think?
Most cases, an activist is that person who will fight against any injustices without a specific aim of being a leader. You get? The likes of Martin Luther, the likes of what is his name? God, the other person who believed in violence instead. Malcolm X and others. Yeah, they will come, advocate, nenga talaga yo symptoms. Zagala kwesimbawo. So as long as ebitubiteredde nga apyanta yenga ddayo ewe. But that's why we have always had issues. If betwavanga yo gatuba NRM nga my team that time ngesiga demonstrating against nga ba opposite maga abo bana baffe. Emidimu bwejacho kanyiba tunya nabagala twegana. You get? Because for us we are nani partisan. So boba ono abera ku 50-50. Wala bagwene bobera political party ngitandisa okwesiriwaza ng'ogifiirako.
Tolowooza nti ssaawa zino abamu bakikola lwa nsonga nti balina ebigendererwa byabwe abasinga baagala kwesimbawo, and right now abamu balina partisan nti ono ava mu political party bwete.
Bwe bakyonoonedde nti abamu ba activists abasinga abamu basalawo okufuuka bakigaati tiimu kyava era kati mulinde 2023 24 ogenda kulaba buli omu activist bwavaayo. You get? Ngakate umanya ina constituency jasonzeko. But literally, it used to be the activist would simply come, articulates issues, gives the way forward and goes back. Neighbor freedom fighters waberanga nti Museveni abantu bali musubiro genda musiko alwane agwambe guys kati muteke okulunda je koze iki zizeyo naye tebategeera.
Nabukera tenjoteddi n'agamba Ugandans bwe twatuuka tutunyumiza for as long as the founders are removing a dictator element, even when we know that it was succeed. Nope is fooling itself. It's living in denial. They never accept. It's just that if a thief came and stole a TV from your house and you still tell people that I have a TV, when they ask where it is, you're like, a thief stole it, but it's still mine. seriously, that's
no,
that's not right now.
Walaga TV webadde. Magamba TV was here.
The story, but it is still my
Then you close your eyes, you begin imagining sawe mu abereyo mawulire nozibiza nojuka eddoboozi lyoli nga bagasoma. I don't know what else do you do. But I think it goes back to stop consoling ourselves and just hold the bull by its horn. That the monster, by the way, when we joined these things when we were young, maybe about it was Museveni was weak. You get? And that's not good. It's not fair. Ntikasaba kusubiza Museveni mwangu. Okolaga naga. Like after all, mwangu mboba abantu abamu batusubiza mu Museveni yayinga nerinyo ngo yalinyeenya. Nikamba buli erinyo gumu. Tulina okuliiza tuli kuba lya kayondo lyakwata nnyo kimagalo. So literally we have to accept.
Mami Titus Daram Nagamanti, and there is a fear that after a few weeks of children going back to school, the Ministry of Health might announce level 4 COVID-19 thing. Sente yo munaku erabi.
It is also possible, especially bwabanga bakifunamu, because at a personal level, yes, we had COVID goge mazima naye ate bakisussa nga bagala okuyisa wakasente era every when these guys become broke, I can assure you they can do anything. In fact, maybe nga bannamawulire enzige zaako mawa ziri mu liivu zagenda okukyala
tulinda tuve mu COVID.
Oba zinda COVID azikomewo.
Bwe bagenda zifuira basanga we baali bazitegese.
Bali bazitegese bali basubidde.
We baali basubidde nti weziri. Bagenda tukawo nga zivuddewo. Azibuuse zigenze.
Nisawa yonna kati anyway simanyi mwino okutuyambako ffe nga ffe abatabitegeera. Mutwe zituuseewa tuzeetegekereddi.
Tazireka zituwaddemu nazo kalivu. But Mr. Norman
era musabeyo ne ka supplementary akenzigi. Sawa yonna.
Nga tugenda concluding.
Mwiza n'okutandika kati okusaba sente muno mufuuyire enseenene. Banagana basaba enseenene
ours is a diluted form of multi-party system. Mwami Okello Kennedy bw'atyo bw'agambye.
Yes, Okello Kennedy, yes, with due respect. By the way, for me, I am so much pro multipartyism. So as long as Ugandans can be given an opportunity to learn, and by the way, these things should be even taught in schools. What is multi-party democracy? Because if we knew and understood multi-party democracy, there shouldn't be a reason why FDC people would abuse NUP people. There shouldn't be a reason why NUP people should attack FDC. There shouldn't be a reason why some FDC or NUP should be attacking ANT. Maybe someone will tell you, for me, I believe in organizing and organizing. Muwe respect kudwecho. Kati nawe bw'ovaayo n'ogamba zikampise jambi akukola nsimbeko bentisatiisa. Nawe tugambe bwewe that's gukyukkiriza. Naye kati bw'owagira NUP musango eri aba NRM. Omwana bw'afa n'awagira NRM ate musango opposition. Kubanga nange olumu mbewe negamba naye kyaguba mukwano gwange kyaguba. Baakulimba kiki? Oli mwana muto era tuwe biwanvu mu maaso nayo engeri gy'owagiramu ekintu kino ne kikuwoomera kibaasi bw'okisiimuula tomanyi kikutwala. It's very funny okuba omuvubuka oli ku kibaasi bw'okisiimuula naye nga kituddemu ba genocide bakulingiza ebweru. Killing for us. You know, it's just funny.
Ayagala fuuka mwami ya commenting ku voltage n'agamba nti sebo kyalinayo emyaka mingi nnyo.
Ate yalimba. Omanyi nze nabanyumizako kaamaadi sometime back. Ngatula mu kirore mu maaso nakugamba twawese motoka like no imagine was going fuso eri steering maker. You get kati nga abamu bavuga banaffe abamu bavuga banaffe bwe bali
bus tujivuga
tuli mu basi ya fenombuza gwe nani nenga yasimbulaga mazima yaleka just tire print emipira wejayise agamba no basi yabadde won. So literally I mean so Mukulu Kennedy and others, if we could teach people political parties and multi-party democracy, maybe. But also to say, and I want to be quoted right, it does not mean that in countries where there are no political parties, but they haven't developed. Surprisingly, some have. And it's not that I support dictatorship for some reason. Maybe to also give, I should give my interpretation of dictatorship. The issue is when you dictate poorly, becomes a problem. There are some countries they are developed, by the way. You get? Now I think this copy and paste, that's why it calls for us to also define African democracy? What is it there? Can we have that philosophy? Can we have that theory? Netutula naffe ngamba abafirika tugamba kino kye kyaffe naffe America gye kyegombe ekiguleo ne gambe this model can work.
There was a Chinese minister who was saying, I think exactly that we have copied the way US does. If it says this is what democracy is, we shall go with democracy, and that is the blueprint. We don't look aside. So I think that you are right. But as we conclude, we have a country that has majority young people. And so, as they say, the future belongs to those young people. How do we move forward? We need politics, we want concrete politics. I
think that philosophy is also wrong. So, Kamario, then you finish your question. The future belongs to the organized young people. Because it can always remain for the old people.
And we want to know how do we organize? How do we organize that the future will find us and we are ready for that? Muchamonto was saying that, you see, it's only important that an opportunity finds you when you're prepared. Otherwise, it will be a waste. So how do we prepare? How do we get on track so that when those opportunities come, we are moving in the right direction?
First of all, you begin with hope. You close your eyes and first of all, convince yourself that there is an opportunity that is likely to come, even when you don't know when. Then you convince your mind to begin preparing for that opportunity. For example, if you are preparing yourself for that opportunity to be minister or to be a leader, how equipped are you with leadership skills? You get? Because with due respect, the bushmen that we are confronting, some of them prepared themselves as early as in the 50s. Yeah, young people now have reached an extent of thinking that Rooney, here Ronaldo knows them, simply because they overwatch them win. You get? That's why when Man U loses, team Yito losing, like our team lost. People even get depressed. You and who? You get? Na yo mwana yomu ombuza kesisi ya dabazanyi babiri tabamanyi. So we have been over westernized. We have been as a generation we have been over westernized. Our brains, we think like white. We want to do everything white, losing the real fabric.
We think what is white invented is the right thing to do.
That is why if a white person came here, you would see people bowing and giving them the front seat. The same thing we're doing to politicians. So we need to do, as a generation, we need first of all to continue multiplying such discussions and do civic education, have material. Young people don't want to read.
Yes, that's
a young person would rather watch a pornography, a movie of 2 hours than reading an article of a newspaper. He would rather sit in a bar and watch these teams playing than listening to a political rally. You get? So that is the problem. But there is always a solution. We continue to do civic education, civic education, civic education.
That is the beginning. And Professor Kanyamba also said, where there is a will, corruption shall surely be defeated.
Definitely.
Where there is a will.
So now
let's look for the will. No man, as we conclude, do you have a message for Ugandans for this year?
Christmas.
Yeah, for Christmas and this year, as we go into 2022.
Now Christmas.
As an organizer, as a national coordinator.
Mugende mujaguze bulungi naye ate temwirabira mu bana balina okudda ku masomero, and definitely COVID is out there, even when you're in churches. N'ebyo bikyaliwo. I have watched some advert on TV nga yabayimbi abamu bagenda simanya kubeerawa temubulayo simanyi obeggwanga bali budo nga nze atamanyi niwe mbanga simanyi nze siri muntu wakubeera bweru. But to say, be more organized. Bw'obanga osika ekyo ekifi ky'ennyama manya nti ekifi ky'ennyama si kyekisembayo. Museveni kyekizibu kyaffe. Mutusomese abaana n'abazzukulu nti ekizibu kya Uganda NRM ne mubeera mu church namwe abasoma mwogere amazima muveeyo temufa ku motoka ebyo. Every single leader, cultural, religious leaders, parents, tell people there is a problem of corruption in this country, there's a problem of poor governance, but also tell young people to prepare themselves that this world belongs to them than any other person.
nga tuli mu activism.
Kuzibiriza.
Okwebaka kyogamba.
No. Just closing my eyes and talk to myself. And I do that. I think I spend close to 40% of my time.
You meditate.
What you say? Yeah, that's the best. But for guys, I wish you a Merry Christmas. And don't forget, tomorrow, by God's grace, at 11, Alternative Digitalk might give us space and we'll be having Justice Kanyihamba. Yeah, by the way. So send your questions, any questions, as he unleashes also these 3 books. One is The Women He Has Loved.
Then the defeat of President Museveni.
Yes, and the in the Pearl of Africa.
Waliwo an election petition. Ako yakawandika twakamaliriza
lungi. So in just our time, tujakuba ne Justice Kanyihamba.
Njagala okubebaza mwenna ababaddeko akatabo kano koolaba nkaagala nnyo mu butabo ndowooza professor bwe yali awandiise kano ke katabo akakyasinze okunyumira The Women I've Loved. Mulimu abakyala ab'enjawulo, mulimu maama we, mulimu omukyala we, mulimu muwala we, mulimu omukyala Betty Nabitosi, mulimu Dr. Miriam Matembe, Honorable Rebecca Litwala Kadaga n'abakyala ab'enjawulo be yawandiiseeko mu katabo kano. Ojja kusobola okuba nga ate okeefunira olunaku olw'ekyanga mwami Norman bwatutegeezezza enkya ssaawa 5 bwe tunaba bw'anaaba nga omwami ono ateereddemu Professor Johnson Kanyihamba ajja kusobola okuba nga ate twegattako asobole okuba nga ate ayongera okutubuuliramu ensonga nga ye bw'abadde aziraba awamu n'okutubuulira ku butabo buno bwe yawandiise kuba mu bbanga ttono nnyo asobodde okuba nga awandiise obutabo obuwererako ddala ekiraga nti omwami ono ate bwe kituuka ku nsonga z'okuwandiika obutabo munnanga ate ensonga azitegeera bulungi nnyo. Naye njagala okubeebaza mwenna ababaddeko. Mukyala Sise webale nnyo okubanga kwoli, omwami Jeremiah Mukibi naye kwali nnyo, omwami Mutale Farouk kwali, n'abalala bangi nnyo ate ababaddeko abakomenti nze mwebale nnyo. Mwebalire ddala. Njagala okwebaza ababaddeko kuva gye twatandikidde paka wano tugenda okuba nga tuwunzikira olunaku olwaleero. Tubadde ne mwami Norman Tumuhimbise mu studios olwaleero era nga nkoze n'omwami Rogers Tuyahabwe okusobola okulaba nga ate tubatuusaako program nga bwe mugirabye okuva ku ssaawa mpaka ate wano tugenda okuba nga tusiibulira. Ku kamera kubaddeko omukyala Anita Musimenta ate nga mu control room wali omukyala Tenjo Teddy awamu n'omwami Mokose Arnold Anthony. Mwebale nnyo mwebale ddala kambagalize okubeera obulungi. Ssaawa zigenda kuba 11 Diaspora Link egenda kuba gyeri nnyo ate n'olunaku olw'enkya temusubwa Mighty Drive n'omulangira Nakibinge. Mwera.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.